The most narcissistic athlete in the history of all sports decided to call up the NBA again and tell them now that he has, I think, made the most field goals in the history of the NBA, which is clearly a compiling stat, that he wants a new patch. And the NBA that is now run by LeBron James apparently said, yes, sir, no problem, sir. And in LeBron's next game, he's going to be wearing a patch that says all-time leader made field goals.
Every player in NBA history who broke a major record did the same thing. They celebrated and moved on. John Stockton, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan. None of them needed reminders stitched onto their jerseys. None of them needed to wear their achievements during games so people wouldn't forget. And then there's LeBron James, who apparently decided that winning isn't enough unless everyone can read it on his chest. So let's ask the real question. Is LeBron wearing achievement patches just a harmless celebration? Or is it one of the most self-absorbed things we've ever seen in the NBA? Be honest. Because we need to acknowledge what's actually happening here.
Turnover. Jokic gives it away. Dončić lob it up. LeBron James! Big finish!
Run the floor here. Clever from Luka. Holds an extra dribble because he sees he can give it.
LeBron James has officially become the first player in NBA history to wear achievement patches during games. Not at a ceremony. Not during a tribute night. Not in a post-game interview. During actual NBA games. He's on the court competing, or at least what passes for competing late in a decided game, while wearing a patch that literally reads, all-time leader in field goals made. Think about that for a second. He's chasing stats, while wearing a badge that celebrates the stats he already achieved. This isn't a concept. This isn't speculation. It's happening on the jersey during live NBA action. And of course, the NBA approved it. Because at this point, the league often feels less like a governing body and more like LeBron James's personal accommodations department. This is the same league that builds entire broadcasts around his milestones, creates custom graphics for every statistical achievement, schedules games and narratives to maximize attention on his career. So when the request came in for a jersey patch, there wasn't much resistance. Just a quick yes.
Yes, his second patch of the year. He's not going to wear a patch that says most missed field goals, which he also has the record for. He's not going to wear a patch that says most turnovers in the history of basketball, which he also has the record for. But he is going to wear a patch, a one of one, that says most field goals made. Now,
and this is where the real conversation begins. Not with LeBron James, but with the NBA itself. Because LeBron didn't force anything. He didn't walk into the league office and demand a patch. He asked. And they approved it. Which means the league looked at something that has never existed in the history of professional basketball and decided it was perfectly reasonable. That decision tells you everything about the relationship. Because no quote, no interview, no press conference can explain it better than that moment right there.
And you know, he's wearing a new patch now. You can see it has number 23 on it. And that'll signify his 23rd season in the NBA. Now you see the patch that says 23, all-time record number of years playing in the NBA, signifies that. Of course, an accomplishment that LeBron is very, very proud of.
And now let's add some historical context, because the contrast is impossible to ignore. John Stockton became the all-time assists leader. A record that still stands today.
you might ask me the question, Big Mac. Did John Stockton wear a patch when he became the all-time NBA assist leader? He didn't. When Kareem Abdul-Jabbar became the all-time points leader in NBA history, which he did he wear a patch?
My guess would be no, he didn't.
Yeah, when Michael Jordan did everything, did he ever wear a patch?
I don't believe so.
Magic Johnson ever wear a patch?
I don't think so.
No. Charles Barkley ever wear a patch?
No.
No. But LeBron James is now on his second patch honoring himself. And that's the guy a lot of you view as your king and the greatest of all time. At what point does it become embarrassing that he demands these things and the NBA says yes to him?
And not once did he wear a patch reminding people of it. He set the record, acknowledged it, and kept playing. That was it. Then there's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. For decades, he was the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. A record that defined greatness for an entire generation. And yet, you never saw him step onto the court wearing a badge announcing it. No reminders. No in-game displays. No need to turn the jersey into a resume. Because the game itself was enough.
John Stockton with 11 assists. They're on their feet. A new NBA assist king of the NBA.
Most of all, I want to thank my teammates. They're all thankfully they're all standing back here. I tell you, they were going to make sure the record happened. It wasn't me, and there were some unbelievable shots tonight.
On behalf of 22,000 people here and 1.9 million people around the state to declare today John Stockton Day in Utah.
He didn't walk onto the court wearing a patch celebrating it. He was too busy being a professional, competing in the game he loved. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley. Players responsible for some of the greatest achievements this sport has ever seen. And yet, none of them wore patches. None of them needed their accomplishments stitched onto their jerseys to make them real. Because what they did spoke for itself. And then there's Michael Jordan. 6 championships. 6 finals MVPs. 5 regular season MVPs. A career that redefined dominance in basketball. And how many patches did he wear? 0. Not one. He didn't need to advertise greatness. He was too focused on winning to think about how it looked. So now the question becomes unavoidable. What does it say about LeBron James that he's the first and so far only player in NBA history to turn his jersey into a running list of personal achievements? The generous interpretation? It's celebration. Breaking the all-time field goals record is historic. Why not acknowledge it in a visible way? That's the kind view. But the less generous and arguably more honest interpretation? This is what it looks like when external recognition becomes necessary. Because the truly great ones didn't need reminders. Bird didn't need one. Magic didn't need one. Jordan didn't need one. Their confidence didn't depend on whether the crowd could read their greatness. Now here's where it gets even more uncomfortable. It's not just one patch. More could be coming. Because LeBron James also holds another record. The all-time leader in turnovers. More than anyone in NBA history. So naturally, the question follows. Is there a patch for that one too? All-time leader in turnovers right next to the field goals patch? Because if the logic is celebrate every record, then that record counts too. The longevity is the same. The history is the same. The numbers are just as real. And it doesn't stop there. He's also among the leaders in missed field goals. Another record. Another milestone. Another potential patch. At some point, the jersey stops being a uniform. And starts looking like a scrapbook. And when that happens, the game itself starts to feel secondary to the documentation of the career. Now this is where the comparison becomes impossible to ignore. Luka Dončić, in a dominant performance, drops over 50 points, racks up rebounds, and finishes just 1 assist short of a historic triple-double. 1 assist. He could have stayed in. No one would question it. The coach was ready to let him go get it. But he didn't. He asked to come out. Why? Because the game was already won. That was enough. That's the mindset of a player focused on winning, not stat lines. Not records. Not milestones. Just the result. And that contrast says everything. One player walks away from history because the job is done. The other stays in finished games chasing the final piece of a stat line. One defines success by the scoreboard. The other, increasingly, by the stat sheet. And then there's that statement again. LeBron James has said for years that he has never cheated the game. But wearing achievement patches during games shifts the focus. Because that's not about competition. That's about presentation. About making sure that every second on the court also serves as a reminder of legacy. The game becomes the stage. LeBron becomes the story. And while that's human, everyone wants recognition. It's not what the greats before him showed. Michael Jordan didn't need in-game reminders. He was locked into the moment. Locked into the competition. The NBA, of course, plays a role in all of this. They approve the patch. They amplify every milestone. They build entire broadcasts around these moments. Because it drives attention. It drives views. It grows the product. But at some point, there has to be a line. And a player wearing achievement patches during games feels like that line. The fact that it wasn't drawn? That says a lot about where the real power sits. Because other legends broke records too. Without patches. Without interruptions. Without turning the game into a running tribute. Their greatness didn't need help. It didn't need reminders. It didn't need decoration. It was already loud enough. LeBron James has had that same level of greatness for over 2 decades. The patches don't add to it. They change how it's perceived. They shift the narrative from dominance to presentation. And now the contrast is clear. Luka Dončić walks off the floor with 9 assists because the team won. John Stockton never needed a patch. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar never needed a patch. Michael Jordan never needed a patch. And somehow, LeBron James is the first to decide that he does. So now it comes down to you. Is this just celebration? Or is it something deeper? Patches or a need for attention? Drop your take below.